The Battle of Gettysburg was one of the most important and deadly battles of the American Civil War. It took place over 3 days, from July 1st to July 3rd, 1863, in and around the small town of Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. This battle was a turning point in the war and is remembered as the moment when the North, or the Union, began to take the lead over the South, or the Confederacy. The Civil War had started in 1861. It was a fight between the northern states, which wanted to keep the country together and end slavery, and the southern states, which had broken away to form their own country. The South depended on slavery for their farms and plantations, and they wanted to keep it. The North disagreed and wanted change. By the summer of 1863, the war had been going on for over 2 years. General Robert E. Lee, the leader of the Confederate Army, decided to take a bold step. He wanted to invade the North. He believed that if he could win a big battle on northern soil, he might convince other countries like Britain or France to support the South. He also hoped a victory would make the people in the North tired of war and push them to make peace. Lee led his army into Pennsylvania, marching through the countryside. Meanwhile, the Union Army, led by General George G. Meade, moved to stop him. The two armies met by chance in the town of Gettysburg on July 1st, 1863. On the first day, the Confederates pushed back the Union soldiers and took control of the town. The Union troops retreated to high ground south of town, forming a strong line on hills called Cemetery Hill and Culp's Hill. More Union forces arrived overnight, and by the next day, both sides had large armies facing each other. On July 2nd, the second day of battle, Lee tried to attack both ends of the Union line. The fighting was fierce in places with names like Little Round Top, Devil's Den, and the Wheat Field. Union soldiers held their ground, and although the Confederates made some gains, they did not break the Union line. Then came July 3rd, the final and most famous day of the battle. Lee believed he could break the center of the Union line. He ordered a massive attack known as Pickett's Charge. About 12,000 Confederate soldiers marched across an open field toward the Union soldiers on Cemetery Ridge. It was a brave but terrible charge. Union cannons and rifles fired again and again. When the smoke cleared, the Confederate soldiers had been pushed back with heavy losses. Nearly half of the men in Pickett's charge were killed or wounded. After 3 days of fighting, Lee's army had lost about 28,000 men, killed, wounded, or missing. The Union had lost about 23,000. The total of over 50,000 casualties made Gettysburg the bloodiest battle of the Civil War. On July 4th, Lee's army began to retreat back to the South. The Union had won the battle, and Lee would never again lead a major invasion of the North. The Battle of Gettysburg was a major turning point in the Civil War. Before it, the Confederacy had been winning many battles. After Gettysburg, they were mostly on the defensive. The North's victory gave hope to its people and helped lead to the final Union victory 2 years later. A few months after the battle, on November 19, 1863, President Abraham Lincoln came to Gettysburg to help dedicate a cemetery for the Union soldiers who had died there. He gave a short speech that became one of the most famous in American history, the Gettysburg Address. In it, Lincoln reminded people why the war was being fought, to protect freedom and equality, and said the soldiers had not died in vain. Today, Gettysburg is remembered as a place of sacrifice, courage, and change. The battlefield is a national park where people come to learn, walk the land, and honor those who fought. The Battle of Gettysburg showed how much was at stake in the Civil War and how determined people were to fight for what they believed in.